Let's pull up the currency for you, because as we speak, it is at the day's low against the greenback. Remember, there have been a number of problems that have been plaguing the currency with respect to the way the dollar index has overall been inching up vis-a-vis the yen as well as the euro. You have some important data that we will be monitoring with respect to the US non-farm payroll numbers, and the FII outflows also from the global markets have been exceedingly high. Crude oil prices at 14-month highs, so we are headed for a strong decline for the week, and as we speak, that deterioration against the greenback is only escalating. It's now 60.49 against the US dollar in today's session. So we did in fact speak earlier in the day with Ajay Mahajan. He cautioned for the fact that perhaps we might not be seeing levels of close to 65 against the US dollar, as a lot of people were speaking about. But nonetheless, the nervousness is about the street, given that dreaded level of 60 is just not eluding us. And yes, now 60.5 against the US dollar. So that is certainly the worst performing Asian currency for the rupee as we speak. But
60.48, this won't sit down too well. And mind you, this comes a day after stability post the food security bill as well. So, yep, some weakness coming in for sure. In fact, we'll just wait for some currency phoners to come in as well. Amisha Vora is with us though. Amisha would have, of course, we'll speak about the markets at large too, but the currency and the way it's been weakening, and of course with the food security bill being passed as well, general dollar strength, 60.50 currently. What's your sense of what the currency does?
I think since the fundamental problem of our imports being pretty rigid, maybe gold will show some signs of softening, but otherwise than that, and the export markets will take its own time with the competitive currency to regain some market share. And also the only savior throughout this was the bridging through FII, NRI flows, and which is where the question mark is globally. So I think in this scenario, our currency will continue to remain under pressure and volatile, and there are no major reasons why to believe that the trend will be reversed soon.
Yeah, Asia's worst performer, down what it is doing right now, 60.50. Amisha, what does this do to, I mean, you know, it's in the last 5 days, it's gone down another 2%, which is a currency which is weak and continues to weaken. What does it do to the overall sentiment? I mean, it's a chicken and an egg situation. Flows go out, so the rupee weakens, so the macro situation worsens, and therefore flows continue to go out. When does this spiral soft, and how much further does it take the rupee to?
So precisely, this is a very vicious circle, and it's just the beginning of the vicious circle, that before the, strong signs of economic rebound emerged, we are faced with this issue of some of the global economies or global developed economies doing better, and the currency outflow. So it's a really slightly precarious situation that we are faced with at the moment, and very vicious, that with every fall in rupee, the chances of inflation hurting us or coming back will keep increasing, as also that will deter RBI from going ahead and easing to revive the investment cycle, to revive the growth. Of course, in the medium term, the currency regains competitiveness against the global currencies, and our trading sector, manufacturing sector rebounds, but that's a medium-term story. But in the current short term, I think this is a slightly vicious circle that is being going on.
Amisha, to some of the import sectors, I wouldn't want to talk about the beneficiaries right now, but what happens to the oil marketing companies? What happens to some of the other key industries which are heavily reliant on imports? How big a gash could it be for these companies in terms of fundamental performance, never mind what happens to the prices per se?
Correct. So as what you very rightly said, it doesn't impact as such, a part of the companies, which is oil marketing companies and their profitability. But as we as an economy keep passing on these burdens, the overall cost in the economy keeps going up. Frankly, we just have almost $40 to $45 billion of trade deficit even with China, and we import from every small thing from there. So I think all that also will be passed on. Some of the raw materials for even domestic consumption, FMCG industry is imported, and with this rupee depreciation, with their brand power, if they pass on, so the inflationary impact is bound to come. Only thing is, the other commodities with China slowdown are globally pretty weak, and maybe because of rupee depreciation, the global prices have collapsed. That will not have very huge negative impact. But I think at the rest of the places, the inflationary impact will be felt over a couple of quarters.
Stay with us, Amisha. Let's also get on board Jamal Mackay to talk more about the currency, which is, of course, dominating action. Jamal, thanks very much for being with us. 6.2% is the kind of fall that you've seen in the last 1 month itself. Were Asia's worst performer? What's now in store?
Well, I mean, obviously, this current move today, I think, with some stop losses being hit. But the reality is that, all the problems are very clear. And the fact is that we are also, the wave, if you will, of rupee weakness is being driven by global forces, which we have no control over. There's nothing we can really do, right? So if the dollar continues to strengthen overseas, if risk aversion increases, people rather go back to the U.S., the rupee will, of course, weaken further. There's nothing we can do as far as that is concerned. It makes little sense to RBI to try to, they can try to smooth the volatility, but they can't really protect against a major move if it is in the offing. What needs to be done is what the finance ministry has been trying to do, which is try to get to get our business act together and try to make sure that, subsidies are controlled, etc., etc., etc. Now, they have made some steps, but on the other hand, you've got clear political action happening to where the priorities of the government seem to be shifting towards elections. So to my mind, hey, unless I'm not convinced that they are going to be able to hold it back, right? If the dollar strengthens more overseas, rupee will weaken.
Fair call, Jamal. We'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us and giving us that quick perspective on the rupee, the worst performing currency in Asia today and for the week. Amisha, the last couple of words from you really as well. One is on the top newsmaker today, HUL, and the reaction thereof. Now that the open offer is out of the way, what do you expect the stock to do? Because Unilever is in, the stock appreciates, or because it's trading at expensive valuations and therefore the natural course will be downwards?
No, I think, whatever level that the last open offer HUL had given, some of the investors have chosen not to offer at those rates, which clearly shows that they are in a mood to hold on, and they don't think this is a price which is not going to come again. Maybe at these price they might have to continue to hold it for next 6 to 8 months, and they would like to probably go ahead with the majority shareholder who puts in so much money rather than book a short-term profit. So I would think that overall the stock should not give any major negative reaction, and in case, and that could be one of the hopes, that in case Unilever decides to up the price, which I feel the chances are limited, the stock might do even better in short term, but I think that a major crash I don't foresee at all.
Amisha, before we let you go, next week we'll have the big earnings from Infi. What are your expectations?
I'm sure in last couple of quarters we know what has happened to the expectations. But I think with the stalwart being back and who has such a good pulse of market expectations, how to really manage expectations and bring it in line with the actual performance, I expect that going forward the volatility will come down in the stock. But it is difficult to believe that operationally, in terms of volume growth, this quarter will be anything great to go by. Of course, the market knows that there has been a salary hike and there could be some impact on cost because of that. And in the process, rupee depreciation should come pretty handy to offset a part of it. So I would think that there should not be any major, negative surprise. and people will be wise, and analysts, I believe, are wise to know that it will not in next one and a half month, or maybe next one or two quarters, that a sudden V-shaped recovery will come. But at least the volatility will sober down. That's our hope.